President Bush sends American troops and Patriot missiles back to the Gulf. The author of America's most famous children's stories dies. And an incredible find. This man is said to have been born 4,000 years ago. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Saddam Hussein is playing it hard and tough in Baghdad. Iraqi troops are, in effect, holding UN inspectors under a kind of house arrest. That apparently is because the UN inspectors hold evidence that Saddam Hussein has a nuclear weapons program. President Bush talked somewhat more conciliatory today, but as a precaution, he has moved more U.S. aircraft, Patriot missiles, and U.S. troops to the region. David Martin has the latest from the Pentagon.
A new team of UN inspectors arrived in the Persian Gulf today, preparing to go into Iraq to search for Scud missiles. But in Baghdad, the standoff between Saddam Hussein and another group of UN inspectors continues, with Iraqi troops keeping them surrounded, demanding they surrender documents which U.S. officials say contain new evidence about Iraq's nuclear weapons program.
The UN inspectors, both Monday and Tuesday, went out and were able to hit gold mines with respect to evidence concerning Iraqi nuclear research and development programs.
Iraq claims the documents are personal and vows the UN inspectors will not be allowed to take them away, saying the team members will simply be detained in a parking lot until they run out of food and water.
Anytime he wants to leave, he can leave. However, he cannot take any document or any photocopy or photograph of documents.
U.S. officials say the decision on whether to use military force depends on what Iraq does next. And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff made it clear Saddam does not have much room for maneuver.
I think the patience of the international community is wearing rather thin with respect to this perils of Pauline game we go through with the Iraqi government every few days, every week or two, as they dream up something new.
The U.S. continues its military preparations, airlifting Patriot air defense missiles from Germany to Saudi Arabia and preparing to send Air Force General Charles Horner, the man who ran the air war against Iraq, back to Saudi Arabia. The U.S. also moved in C-130 transport planes from Okinawa. The planes are equipped to refuel helicopters in flight, giving them the range to fly anywhere in Iraq. Iraq has promised in writing to let the UN's helicopters go wherever they want, but the U.S. doesn't put much stock in Iraqi promises.
I must note that Iraq has made a number of unconditional pledges in the past. We will reserve judgment on this unconditional pledge until we see that the Special Commission is flying its aircraft without further obstruction by Iraq.
Dan, even if the Iraqis make good on their promise, this latest confrontation with Saddam won't be over until that UN team in Baghdad is allowed to leave and take the documents with them. And even if Saddam gives in on that, there's no guarantee he won't find some other way to interfere with UN inspections in the future. Dan?
David, I find people want to know the answer to two questions. Is there going to be another war? And how long can this go on?
Well, Dan, there are certainly plans for airstrikes against Iraq if this confrontation continues. Now, the Iraqis have said that they're not going to allow food and water into these inspectors. If they mean that, then obviously the UN and the U.S. are not going to sit still for very long and watch 44 men die of thirst. So if that's the case, you really are talking about a very few days here. But we got to remember that the Iraqis have a very long track record of saying one thing and doing another.
David Martin, live at the Pentagon. Thanks. The current movement of U.S. troops and missiles to the Gulf will beef up an already substantial and expensive American presence there. Barry Peterson has a report from aboard a U.S. Navy carrier.
In the middle of the Persian Gulf, in the heat and the haze, they prepare for combat. On board, a fresh generation of top guns who didn't get a chance to shoot during the Gulf War 7 months ago. Wally Hewitt flies F-14 Tomcats. If there's trouble in Baghdad, he could get a chance at some action.
I feel good about it. I'm excited about it. Like I said, we've trained for this for so long, and it gives a little bit more of excitement to each flight, just knowing that the threat of war is there.
Dave Anderson rides the jump seat in the Tomcat, using radar to spot the enemy.
I don't think Iraq has the capability right now to start any kind of offensive action, and if they did, I guarantee we're ready to take
The nuclear-powered Abraham Lincoln is the newest aircraft carrier in the American fleet. This is its first deployment. The ship is not in any higher state of alert, but the crew is aware that tensions in the Persian Gulf are rising again, and there is the possibility of launching against Iraq again. Its planes are barely 2 hours striking distance from Baghdad and are just as ready to provide cover for UN helicopters.
High level, low level, we've done it all at various times.
The last war still lingers here. Ships are enforcing sanctions against Iraq. Helicopters search for mines drifting in the Gulf currents.
The mines don't automatically disarm themselves. They're always a threat and they're always present. And we have to win every single confrontation that we have with every mine.
But winning the confrontation over Iraq's weapons of mass destruction is proving much more difficult, as the UN inspection team found this week. If Saddam Hussein needs another black eye to make him mind his manners, said one sailor, we're ready to give it to him. Barry Peterson, CBS News, in the Persian Gulf.
President Bush called up Boris Yeltsin today to ask about his health. The Russian president said he feels fine, but plans to take a few weeks off. Mr. Bush also asked Yeltsin about relations between the Soviet republics and the central government. Mr. Bush did not call the president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev. They reportedly haven't talked since shortly after the failed coup. Klaus Barbie, known as the Butcher of Lyon, died there today. Barbie was the Gestapo boss in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. In 1987, he was convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to life in prison. He was hospitalized this year with cancer. Klaus Barbie, dead at 77. Last year, Romanian coal miners stormed into the capital, Bucharest, at the invitation of the then strictly hardline communist government. The idea was to put down student protests. Today, Martha Teichner reports the miners were back, this time without invitation, staging their own protest.
Today, the miners commandeered trains and came to Bucharest. The government was their target because prices are skyrocketing and wages are stuck at low levels. Inflation is running at nearly 200%. Life is getting worse in Romania, not better. The miners, thousands of them, gathered in what has been called Victory Square since Romania's overthrow of Nicolae Ceausescu nearly 2 years ago. The miners demanded that the government resign. And then they rioted, smashing whatever was in their way as they stormed government buildings. Riot police were called in to beat back the demonstrators, but then were beaten back themselves. 3 people reportedly were killed. As many as 60 were injured, mostly policemen. Just last year, the miners came to Bucharest to put down anti-government protests. Now they have turned. They were joined by thousands of other Romanians who believe they have been betrayed by the government as it tries to impose tough reforms aimed at transforming Romania to a market economy. The miners and their supporters shouted, "Down with communism," saying they would not leave town until the politicians they see as no different from the old Ceausescu regime are gone. Martha Teichner, CBS News, London.
From the Tyrolean Alps along the border between Italy and Austria, remarkable pictures tonight of a first-of-a-kind discovery in a glacier. A 4,000-year-old man on ice. His mummified remains, his clothing and his Bronze-Age tools are all remarkably well preserved. Scientists say the find offers them one of the best looks ever at what life was like in the early Bronze Age. So far, they've determined the Iceman wore a kind of weatherproof clothing of leather and fur lined with hay. A hunter, apparently. He was somewhere between 20 and 40 years old when he died up there. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. People who go into a panic simply by going out the door. And an AIDS victim near death arrives to take on Washington.
You're not going to believe what happened.
You're right. I'm not.
You don't believe your own brother? Come on. I'm really sorry I'm late.
Late? We're having coffee.
Taster's choice. Just in time.
Well, no, I think you know everyone except...
We've already met.
We share the same taste in coffee.
Savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
Are you always this late?
I won't be tomorrow.
What's happening tomorrow?
I'm inviting you to dinner.
What makes you think I'll accept?
You can't resist my coffee.
From refrigerators and freezers to washers and dryers, from dishwashers to cellular phones, VCRs, TVs, stereos, camcorders, and more. At savings from $500 to $400, all on sale through Wednesday at Sears Brand Central.
Federal health officials are putting the spotlight now on what is a vastly underreported crippling disorder for many Americans. They are people who live in dread of dread. Eric Ingberg reports on trying to take the fear and loathing out of panic attacks.
Sherry Young's world stops at the sidewalk in front of her home. A victim of an illness called panic disorder, she needs the help of a therapist just to venture a few blocks.
What would you like to be able to do today?
I'd like to be able to go to a store.
Okay, when was the last time you were there?
3 years ago.
All right. Tell me what you're thinking. Talk to me.
I'm scared what's going to happen when I have a panic attack.
What's going to happen?
I'm just going to feel like I'm going to die.
I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to abandon you, and I'm going to stay with you until it all subsides.
I'm not going to
we got a security
corner.
place here.
Okay, I want to go, really. I want to go drilling.
All right,
seriously.
we're going to go back.
Sherry's fear of going out, called agoraphobia, is a common offshoot of panic disorder, a disease doctors are only beginning to understand.
A panic attack can strike at any time, in any place, without provocation.
It's now believed the disorder is passed on genetically and can be induced by stress. Doctors are having success treating it with drugs and psychotherapy, but ignorance of the disease is so widespread, only 1 in 5 victims is getting treatment.
We are here on behalf of some 3 million people who suffer from panic disorders in this country.
For the first time, the National Institutes of Health is sponsoring a meeting this week to pool information and look for new ways to reach out to victims.
Look at all these cars. Look at the buses. It's full of people. It's totally panic-producing for somebody who has panic disorder.
Beverly Barradin, a legal secretary, suffered her first panic attack 18 years ago. A bolt of terror from the blue that felt like a heart attack. As is often the case, several doctors failed to diagnose her real problem before Beverly found a psychiatrist who could help. Her therapy included purposely driving into traffic jams to desensitize herself to the fear.
I have totally beaten the part of it that was beating me. I mean, I will probably live with panic disorder the rest of my life, but I've learned how to control it.
All we have to do is just touch that Perry sign.
For Sherry and therapist Geraldine Ross, the battle to control it is being fought 1 step at a time, 1 block at a time.
You did it, Cher.
Yep.
Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.
Growing division about how best to prevent the spread of AIDS led to a clash of views today between the government's panel on AIDS and one woman on a dramatic mission to Washington. Juan Vasquez has that story.
The National Commission on AIDS report criticized political leaders for failing to tackle the AIDS issue because of an attitude of collective indifference, fueled by a thinly veiled feeling that AIDS victims are getting what they deserve.
It says here's a catastrophe of monumental proportion that simply the leadership of this country has been silent about. It says this is not their disease, it's your disease. It's going to hit your teenagers, it's going to hit people you know.
Every day, the commission said, more than 100 people in the United States die of AIDS, and the pace is accelerating.
It's time for behavioral change in the White House, in every state house, in every city hall, and in every household.
The report recommended a major overhaul of the healthcare system to expand coverage to AIDS victims, but panel members came out against mandatory AIDS testing for healthcare workers.
I think the thing that worries many of us is simply this witch hunt of testing health professionals.
Ironically, the AIDS victim, whose case has dramatized the issue of AIDS transmission from doctor to patient, Kimberly Bergalis, arrived in Washington just a few hours earlier to testify in Congress tomorrow in support of the need for mandatory testing of healthcare workers. Her father blasted opponents of the proposal.
These learned, esteemed individuals who are dealing with that type of rhetoric, I don't have the time of day for them. They need to sit down and roll their sleeves up and get down to public health business in this country.
Opponents of mandatory testing believe that the sympathy Bergalis has aroused is diverting attention from more pressing issues and will galvanize support for a measure that most AIDS activists oppose. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Stay here with CBS now for more news, including Eye on America. Tonight, it's not an apple a day, but bills they can't pay that keeps the patients away.
As beneficial as self-examination is, Mary Brody won't feel the tiny lump in her breast for another 2 years. But she'll discover it tomorrow, after her first mammogram, thanks in part to a new X-ray film created by DuPont that makes it safer to start mammography early. And for Mary, early detection means a 2-year head start on the rest of her life. At DuPont, we make the things that make a difference.
Over 20% of the population can have trouble eating this, or even this, because we can't easily digest dairy foods. What we can't have, we always want, which is why there's Lactaid. Only Lactaid comes in milk and in caplets to help us digest any dairy foods. And it's natural. So now there's only one thing left to do.
Only Lactaid gives you so many ways to enjoy dairy foods.
Craft Caravan Incorporated. Are you having trouble getting an international operator? All Nations Forwarding. Are you having more trouble getting overseas faxes through on the first try? We want you back. AT&T Pro Watts. Competitive prices on international calls. Plus our new Favorite Nation 10% discount. Switch now and get 1 month of long distance free. We want you back. Call 1-800-222-0900.
A human skull arrives in the mail. What clues could unravel the mystery and solve the case? 48 Hours knows. Find out tonight.
In tonight's Eye on America, a national shame. In ours, the wealthiest nation on earth, millions of people cannot afford to go to the doctor. CBS News health correspondent Edie Magnus has tonight's look at health care in the United States, a matter of life and debt.
Morning, high school today.
Carmen Chincy is an office manager in Boca Raton, Florida. Her current job provides health insurance, but for 3 years, this single parent had none. Last year, when her daughter complained she wasn't feeling well, Carmen put off sending her to the doctor because of the cost. When she finally did, Monique was diagnosed with mononucleosis.
Do you know how guilty I felt? Do you want to know how it feels? When your daughter, when I would say to her, you're lazy, you're tired all the time, and she was actually sick. But in my mind, I just did not want to know the truth because I could not afford it.
Carmen isn't alone. A new CBS News New York Times poll discovered 39% of Americans have avoided seeing a doctor because it would cost too much. 51% have actually had to dip into savings to pay medical bills.
I mean, the doctors, you go for one thing. It's like a mechanic shop. You go for one thing, and before you know it, it's a pile of things that's big, and it's a lot of money.
And for the millions of Americans who don't have health insurance, the prospect of illness or accidents can be paralyzing.
I was so afraid that something was going to happen because we're active people.
Now we wait.
Tom and Candy Hassaker like to camp, scuba, and ski, but she wouldn't do any of those things last year when for 6 months they had no health insurance.
Because I was afraid if I broke my leg or I broke my arm, how would we pay for it?
There's not a sign that says, okay, you're going to get sick tomorrow. It's going to come in the middle of the night, and that's when you're going to have to deal with it.
Americans share that sense of doom. Almost 8 out of 10 surveyed say they think this country is headed for a health care crisis. But there is virtually no agreement on what to do about it. And it appears many of us are unwilling to make specific sacrifices in order to ensure better medical coverage for everyone.
We asked if it would reduce health care costs, would you be assigned to a doctor instead of seeing your own private doctor? Most said no. Would you agree to have expensive treatments like organ transplants not covered by insurance? Again, most said no. Would you wait a longer time for an appointment with a doctor? No. Would you give up your right to sue for malpractice? No.
People are going to have to compromise.
Dr. Arnold Relman is the retired editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine.
in other areas of life, people don't feel that they're entitled to buy a Mercedes if they can't afford it, or to live in a great big expensive house if they can't afford the down payment. In health care, we haven't been willing to do that, and I think that we're going to have to.
I believe that the government has got to step in and help us out a little bit here.
Like Kimberly Mackey, 54% of those polled said national health insurance, financed through taxes, could be a solution. She and her husband Todd, a part-time construction worker, currently have no health insurance for themselves or their 2 children.
Be careful with that stick, Adam. Something should be done, whether it's the government and business together, or even extra taxes. Somewhere, some of the money has to come together to help people like me and people that are less off than what I am.
What you have for homework?
But others are leery of more government involvement. By almost 2 to 1, people favored forcing companies to pay for health insurance over national health insurance. Dr. Wellman says even if the current system were stripped of wasteful spending, government involvement is inevitable.
Health care is basically a social service, like education, or police and fire protection, or national defense. And you have to pay for it through taxes. There's no alternative that makes any sense.
62% of Americans disapprove of the way President Bush is handling health care. By more than 2 to 1, they think the Democrats are more likely to improve the system. But with no consensus on how to improve it, it's unclear whether either party will develop a workable idea anytime soon. Dan?
Edie Magnus, thanks. Our special series on health care in America will continue tomorrow here on the CBS Evening News. Now, coming up next tonight, a magician of whimsy, the Cat in the Hat, and all that.
Make sure that they...
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
Did you know that V8 has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad?
Wow!
And did you know that V8 is 100% vegetable juice, so it has no fat, unlike that low-fat yogurt?
Wow!
So how do you feel now that you know these things?
Wow! I gotta have a V8.
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
This neighborhood produces most of our Olympic team stars. It's where you'll find the Emerson Flag Company. They send thousands of flags to the Olympic Games, and for rush orders, they use express mail from the Postal Service. It offers convenient pickup service, guaranteed overnight delivery, plus great low prices, which could help a small company like this have a banner year.
We deliver for you!
They ate the same lunch, got the same heartburn, but his antacid is very different. His Tums has calcium. Most antacids don't. Regular Rolaids uses an aluminum salt. This uses aluminum and magnesium. So does this. Of all these, only Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium you need every day.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Calcium-rich Tums. That's the one you want.
I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. Will having a healthy pregnancy help you have a smarter baby?
Find out tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
It's breakfast for your head.
His name was Theodore Geisel, but he was Dr. Seuss. He put a was-it in the closet of children everywhere, and ideas, and imagination. He died at home in California last night, 87 years old. Correspondent Richard Threlkeld looks at the life and legacy of Dr. Seuss.
Look! A cat! In a hat!
Dr. Seuss wasn't a real doctor, but he was at least as instrumental in the upbringing of a couple of generations of kids as Dr. Spock. And not just American kids. Everywhere, in 18 languages, they know about ziffs and zuffs and nurkles and nerds.
So if you like to go bump, bump, just jump on the hump of the wump of Gump.
They called his books children's books, but the children knew better. Children like my books, said Dr. Seuss, because I treat them as equals.
He knows just what makes them giggle. So it stays with them. And everybody's got a favorite Dr. Seuss story. I mean, even grown-ups.
And the books are about grown-up things, after all, about taking responsibility.
I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny. About loyalty. I meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. About prejudice.
Ronald, remember, when you are out walking, you walk past a snitch of that type without talking.
So Dr. Seuss wasn't all stuff and nonsense, even though the creatures in his world were pretty weird and called each other funny names.
I, of course, am Mr. Hooberbloom.
Somebody asked him once who was his favorite.
I think the Grinch, maybe.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
The Grinch has been coming back to our living rooms every holiday season for 25 years now, trying and failing to steal Christmas.
The true meaning of Christmas came through, and
Dr. Seuss never had any children of his own, but he's survived by millions of children, past and present, all over the world. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, New York.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up on 48 Hours, detective stories and baffling crimes, and how a modern-day Sherlock Holmes uses tiny clues to solve crime. 48 Hours, Clues, on this station tonight at 10 in the East and West, 9 other places in between. Dan Rather, I'll see you soon on 48 Hours.
A cold always starts small. A stuffy nose, a little sneeze. But before you know it, your cold is full grown. That's when you need Dimetap, the grown-up medicine. If it was any stronger, you'd need a prescription. Maximum strength Dimetap Extend tabs work for 12 full hours. It's the way to relieve the congestion and sneezing of a full-grown cold. Dimetap, relief for the full-grown cold.
Because of high cholesterol, 1 out of 4 adults is gambling with heart disease. You can leave it to chance or do something about it with a diet including Fleischmann's margarine. 0 cholesterol, low saturated fat. Fleischmann's, because your heart is in your hands.
Listen, those new dog biscuits you've been getting instead of Milk-Bone? Why? Milk-Bone has nearly half the fat of those Purina biscuits. Half the fat. Please, give me back my Milk-Bone.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash somehow.
Hello, dear. To send money fast by phone, call 1-800-CALL-CASH or come to any of Western Union's 16,000 convenient locations.
My sometime is now.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Luck up there today.
I don't need it.
What's wrong?
What if my diarrhea comes back?
Relax. You took my Imodium AD caplets.
Just 1 dose. I usually take the pink stuff 2 or 3 times.
Imodium AD is much better.
Imodium AD caplets are so effective, they often work in 1 dose. Instead of dose after dose after dose, like the pink stuff.
Hello? Hi, hon. I feel great.
Imodium AD for diarrhea, the choice for 1 dose relief.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel.
We see them come, we see them go. Some are fast and some are slow.
Sweep up the memories.
Eye on America's health care. What kind of insurance coverage do you have? If an emergency struck, could you afford it? Could you pay for care without dipping into your savings? For millions of Americans, health care has become a matter of life or death. Special reports on health care and its cost to you, all this week on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.
We challenge you to find Nissan interrupts this commercial to bring you another. It's Nissan's clearance with special factory-to-dealer incentives on every award-winning Nissan we sell. So now Nissan gives you more car for the money, and for that matter, more commercial. Now back to your regularly scheduled commercial.
Challenge isn't which car to buy, it's which Nissan.
See your dealer's newspaper ads for special clearance values.
Men who are baring their chests on TV on Entertainment Tonight.